constant question at this trade deadline is, should the Chicago Bulls sell? Should they buy? And depending on which Bulls fan you ask and their tolerance, you'll get a completely different answer. And while the Domantas Sabonis rumors, which we're going to talk about, are popping back up, I'm actually going to talk about why the Chicago Bulls should not repeat the same mistake that they made in jump-starting their timeline unless it's for a superstar-level player. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, plus the Clippers calling on Coby White. Josh Giddey comes back and reminds everybody exactly who this team could be, but we lose Trey Jones. And, oh yeah, we're taking on the Celtics on Derrick Rose jersey retirement night. All that and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. So we had another rumor pop up that links the Chicago Bulls still potentially being linked and pursuing Domantas Sabonis leading into the trade deadline. Reportedly, it goes back to that pressure that we've heard that the front office could be feeling on something in regards to that. On Friday, Sam Amick of The Athletic released an article in regards to all the things he's hearing around the February 5th trade deadline, and he mentioned that Domantas Sabonis remains one of the most prominent players to watch that could be moved at the trade deadline, and then name-dropped the Chicago Bulls as being a team that potentially could be interested and is still actively pursuing Domantas Sabonis. Now, this is something that we've heard months ago. Like we literally heard this probably about a week or two or three into the season, right? And so with that, Sam Amick also named three other teams that could be interested in Domantas Sabonis. Toronto Raptors being one of those teams, the New York Knicks being one of those teams. He named a few teams, right? But when it comes down to it, the Chicago Bulls have continually been mentioned around a few players. Domantas Sabonis is one of those guys. Zion Williamson, Missi, like these are players that we've heard the Bulls should be or could be very well interested in. And you talked about the plus and minuses of Sabonis as a player. Like I want to make sure this is not me at all down on Sabonis as a player. Sabonis knows exactly what he is. I think unlike Nikola Vucevic, where Vuce settles for threes, Sabonis keeps his ass basically near the rim, which is where you want to be. He will take some three-pointers at times, which is kind of where I want my center to be. I want a center that can hit threes, but isn't a three-point shooter, if that makes sense. I don't need my center to be basically what we're seeing for Vooch. I don't need him to be Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't need him to try to be a shooting center. But if you go into a pick-and-pop situation or you go into a situation where the defense sags off of you or collapse, take the three-point shot. That's what really where I want a center to be, and I think that's where this Bulls team needs a center to be. So, and Sabonis does most of those things. Great rebounder. Way better rebounder than Vooch is, especially at this current juncture in his career. Not a rim protector, though. Not a defender at all, though, right? Doesn't bring those type of things to the Chicago Bulls at all, potentially on Domantas Sabonis. But it's a larger issue than even just that for me, right? To me, the Chicago Bulls have, over the last few years, gone considerably younger. It's noticeable. They've gone considerably younger over time. Vooch is the oldest player left on this team. I think Zach Collins is right behind him at 28 years old. But this is not a Chicago Bulls team that is filled with a lot of 30-year-old vets like it used to be, right? It just isn't that. And so because of that, I don't want this Bulls team to jumpstart his timeline again. I don't think that works. I think we've seen through the history of that you don't want to do that. Now, I have a caveat to that. Unless you're going for a superstar player that completely puts you in contention right now. Other than that, I don't think this Bulls team, and I know this is going to be something that a lot of Bulls fans hate because some Bulls fans have the mindset of, oh, you get that, just go out and get that guy and the rest is going to fix itself. It's not, right? Somebody left a comment on the video the other day. They were like, well, no, you go and get Zion if you can because he's going to attract other free agents. What free agents has Zion Williamson attracted to the New Orleans Pelicans? DeJounte Murray? No, that was a trade, right? Like, who has he attracted? If anything, Lonzo left there, right? Like, I don't look at Zion being some huge because he's not on the court enough. He hasn't had enough success yet. The Bulls, even when they had Derrick Rose, weren't a free agent destination. So I doubt that those two entities combining all of a sudden becomes an entity that can attract other stars, right? And again, I'm not even down on Zion if you're getting him for expiring contracts, but that's just to nail home the point. But overall, it would be AK not learning from the exact same mistake that he made before. When you trying to build something around Zach LaVine, you go out and get Vooch, who was an all-star, and to credit, it looked like that team was going to make the playoffs that year until Zach got COVID and then missed like the last 3 weeks of the season, right? But the Bulls have embraced a youth movement, and I'm fine with that. And I think that unlike some Bulls fans that don't realize it, it's going to take time. There's nothing that's going to jumpstart that process when you embrace a youth movement. I think when you truly embrace that, yes, it takes more time to get there, but it's more sustained once you get there. Not even to go to OKC Thunder, they're a special case in how they built that team. Look at the Detroit Pistons. Look at the steady progression that they made. They changed their coach, right? They did bring in some veterans, and Tim Hardaway Jr. a couple of seasons ago, he's now gone. Tobias Harris, who's still there, reportedly they could be looking to move on from. But that team was really propped up by the growth of Cade Cunningham, and then a couple of seasons later, you had the growth of Jalen Duren, and that's really what the backbone of that team's built off of, right? Now, of course, Cade Cunningham's the number one overall pick, but it still takes time to get there. So I look at this and I say, would this be too close to replicating exactly what you did with Nikola Vucevic? Not saying that Sabonis and Vooch are the exact same player, but you'd be trading for a player that accelerates your timeline, that doesn't really move the needle quite considerably for this Bulls team. And that's where the problem therein lies, because then now you're looking at making the subsequent moves. Now you have to trade more picks to get those guys, or draft assets, or get rid of a young guy to try to get somebody that fits the timeline more, because now you don't have time for Noah Essengate to develop. All these type of things that come in there, right? So you look at the other teams that have been mentioned as interested in Domantas Sabonis, like Washington, Phoenix, these other teams, right? They're in a completely different place. The Washington Wizards, I don't know where the fuck they are. The Phoenix Suns have been overachieving this year per their preseason, but with having a player like Devin Booker who's in his prime, it would make some sense for them to go out and get that, right? So while on paper, Sabonis offers an upgrade over Nikola Vucevic, I want to be clear here. In no way am I saying that they are the exact same player right now, because they're not. His numbers are down this season, but I do think that's a little bit due to just being unhappy in Sacramento. But it's the more important thing of not jumpstarting your timeline. Don't jumpstart your timeline for something that you haven't even established a base yet. Now, let's say that this young Bulls team goes into the playoffs, that somehow throughout the season they go on a run, they go through the playoffs, and boom, let's say they push the Detroit Pistons or the Boston Celtics in round one, and they push them to 6 games, and it's like, damn, hey, listen, there may be something here. Maybe then, right? Maybe you, instead of drafting your pick in 2026 draft, or using that Portland pick, maybe you combine those. Maybe you go out and get a different guy. Maybe you move up in the draft to get a higher caliber player. Maybe something like that, right? But at this point, a juncture where the Chicago Bulls are right now, it makes no sense to jumpstart their timeline, because they haven't proven shit yet. Now, again, I say this, and I said before, if you can get a true superstar, you always do that, but that's not what Sabonis is. He's a damn solid player, but he's not a superstar level player. And even then, if you have to trade a lot of your young youth to get superstars, you're just going to be stuck with a superstar still winning 35 games. So that's the place where the Bulls are right now. I know it's not what is going to get clickable. It's not what's going to stir up Bulls fans to say, let's go out there and let's get that star right now. Fuck these picks. That's not what I'm saying. I'm more patient, because I realize if you want to build something that's sustainable, you usually have to do it organically. Look at the teams around the league that have done that, right? Like, even you look at the OKC Thunder. Most of those players they drafted. Now, they didn't draft them with their own picks, because they were smart and moved off, some damn good and star level players at that time. But they still did it organically over time. And then they brought in the Isaiah Hartensteins. Then they brought in the Alex Carusos. After they proved to themselves in the league, hey, look at what we can be. The Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, those guys that they drafted into that team, and then they went out and they built and made smart moves by moving off Marcus Smart and other players to build around those guys. They did have Kyrie Irving for that 1 year, but that's a different scenario, because they just even needed to get out of Cleveland. The Detroit Pistons, the Toronto Raptors, they made a trade, but they had Scotty Barnes, who they steadily developed, right? So it's just sometimes it takes more time. And then you see kind of the flash in the pan. Look where the Cleveland Cavaliers are right now. Still a threat, make no mistake about it, but their fan base is disappointed. They built a lot of that team based off trades. Now, some of those players they drafted, the Darius Garlands, the Evan Mobleys, right? So it's a mix of the way that you do it. The Bulls aren't at a place right now to go all in, though. And, I know that's not the most exciting thing to say, but that's my opinion. And I'd love to hear from you guys on that one down below. With that said, we have heard as well via an article, also from Sam Amick, that the Los Angeles Clippers are a team to watch out in regards to trying to go out and getting Coby White. Now, we've heard a little bit about the Clippers before. It was more so said like, hey, if they do blow this thing all up, they could be looking for some young guards. But it seems now this is kind of more so mentioned as a team that could look to add Coby White to what they have. Now, we've heard teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Atlanta Hawks, the Dallas Mavericks, the Detroit Pistons, even the Miami Heat, I think were mentioned one time as a team that could be in on Coby White if the Bulls truly do want to move him. But I think overall, like if the Clippers are looking to add Coby White to James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, a team that's been playing better, we beat the team not too long ago as well. They're sit right now 10th seed in the Western Conference. But then I look at it and say, what do the Clippers have that we would want, right? They don't have their first round pick. Well, they have more of their first round picks. They don't have as many as like the Lakers, but they do have some first round picks that you can send in there. But do you want Chris Dunn? No. Bogdanovich? No, I'm good on that one. Kobe Sanders? No, I'm good on that one too. They're such an old team. Even John Collins don't want that on this team, right? So you sit in a place now where it's still like, okay, the Clippers can come calling, but what do you have that we would actually want on this squad? And I struggle to feel that. Like, again, of course, the Zubac thing, but if you're looking to add Coby White to James Harden and Kawhi, you probably think that they're not looking to give up Zubac, which is their frontline defense, which they need, especially if you're going to bring in a guard like Coby White. So I just don't see this as a natural fit for the Chicago Bulls personally. Again, I'd be more so, I'd love to hear from you guys on this one because maybe there's a perspective out there that I'm just missing on this that I would love to hear on exactly what the Clippers could offer us, because if you're saying that you're not blowing it all up, before it was Zubac for Kobe because you were probably blowing everything up, you wanted to go younger, but if you're looking to add them so you can go on a run, Zubac's probably going to be off the table. And if that's the case, what are you going to give us? That's the question here. So, we'll see what happens in that one, but I did want to mention it because it is something that recently popped up, and when I don't talk about a rumor, people be in the comments, well, Haize, did you see this? Yeah, I saw it. It's bullshit, but, I saw it, so, we'll see. With that said, we do have a game tonight against the Boston Celtics. It's Derrick Rose retirement night. This is going to be a tall test. We lost Trey Jones yesterday to a hamstring injury, which is going to leave him out for 2 weeks. And so the Boston Celtics are coming into this game 27-16. They're 6-4 in their last 10. And this is going to be a very tough matchup for the Chicago Bulls because, listen, this is a Boston Celtics team that's sound on both sides of the ball. But I want to be clear on this one. This is about Derrick Rose. This night is about Derrick Rose and what he has done for this franchise and celebrating him. And so in that, I want to see this team fight hard and compete. Play on both sides of the ball because we are honoring a Chicago Bulls legend in Derrick Rose tonight, and the effort from the team needs to be there and match the effort that he gave out there on the court, and that in respect to what he is as a player. And so I really hope that this team is ready, prepared, and willing to give that effort that's going to be needed in this game because we are going to need a complete fight tonight against the Boston Celtics. And if we don't give that, you're going to get our asses kicked. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We will get absolutely roasted if the Chicago Bulls don't come in this game fully prepared. If they come in lacking at all, you got to be ready. You got to be focused. You got to be all those things against this Boston Celtics team. They are second in the Eastern Conference. They're a deep team. They're second in offensive rating, 14th in defensive rating, one of the best rebounding teams in the league as well. They block shots. Now, their assist percentage is towards the bottom of the league. There's a lot of individual basketball going on. The ball does stick when it gets to places. But I think even when you look at it over the last 10 games, they dropped down to third. They won six out of those 10 games. So this is a game where the Bulls have to be locked in and focused and ready to go because if they are not, they are going to get destroyed. And if they get destroyed, everybody's going to be waiting. I told you so, right back below 500. So we'll see what we're going to do. The return of Josh Giddey gave this Bulls team a little oomph, right? Like Josh Giddey, say what you want. I'm really surprised people still hate on Josh Giddey because he's putting it all out there on the court. 21 points in his return, 26 minutes off the bench, and 18 points in that first half. Josh Giddey is having an all-star caliber season. The injuries may keep him, and the Bulls' record may keep him from getting in there, but he's having an all-star caliber season per the production stat-wise. Now use that, and let's pump that up and use that into this team, and let's see if we can get a dub today. It will surprise the world if the Bulls get their fourth win in a row and they are able to beat the Boston Celtics on Derrick Rose night at that. Let's go out there and make that happen. with that said, it is Saturday. That means it is mailbag day. Let's get into these voicemails, man. This one's from Todd.
Hey, what's going on, bro? It is Todd. It's been a minute, man. I've been kind of caught in the Bears run up, but now that is over, I'm back. And I wanted to share a thought, considering Jimmy Butler's ACL injury, unfortunately. I'm still a Jimmy guy, but yeah. I think that, and I was also thinking about the Eve Missi trade, considering that Portland pick, and you're going to hear how it all comes together. So basically, don't do the Missi trade with that Portland pick now that Jimmy's hurt. In the last 10 games, Portland is 8-2. They've won the last 3. They're on the uptick. I mean, Sharp is looking like a bona fide star. And I think that they are figuring it out. I don't know who the Warriors get to replace Jimmy, or do they hold on to Kuminga now? But even if they do, that relationship is done. That's not going to flip all of a sudden. So I'm expecting the Warriors to just fall off. And I think that Portland is perfectly suited to get that 8th spot. Right now, they are a game back. Or so behind behind Golden State. So I think they actually make the bona fide playoffs, and they might be able to catch Phoenix for that 7th spot. So I say hold that pick. We might get it this year, might convey this year, and two picks in this draft is far more important than getting Eve Missi, even though I do like what he brings on the defensive side, but I think we could replace that. I think we could get that, I should say, and still have our 2 picks. So I would love to hear what you think about that. Does that make any sense? Or do you still say it's more important to get Eve Missi, a ready-made young player who could fit our system? So tell me what you think, bro. All right.
Holding on to the Portland pick. Okay, here's the way that I look at it, right? So if Portland gets into the playoffs, that means their pick is going to fall somewhere between 18 and maybe as low as 21st, 22nd, just depending on how things go. And so there are some talented bigs that can go in this draft that late. I want to be clear. There are some bigs. So you have to weigh it against, do you want to go and bet on AK and his draft ability? Do you want to bet on him to draft the right big? Or do you want to go with a player that is still young, still fits your timeline in Eve Missi, but you kind of more so know what their strengths are, yet you, at minimum, know he can be a rotational big for you? That's really what it comes down to. I get in wanting to hold on to the Portland pick because it does look like there's a good chance that it can convey, but you have to also weigh that against the talent that's going to be at that spot. Keep in mind, it's you only get it if they make the playoffs, not the play-in, which means that's going to put them at like I said, that pick being somewhere, because let's just say they flip with the Golden State Warriors. Right now, the Golden State Warriors pick is 17th, right? So you're looking at that pick being between, like I said, around 17, 21, somewhere in there is where it could be, depending on how good their record is by the end, because again, in the West, the records are better in the West anyway. And so when you look at big men that could go around that place, you got Thomas Hall out of Florida, the power forward. Potentially, Yaxel is going to go higher than that. He's going to go right outside the lottery, so that isn't a player that we can get. Malachi Marino, the center out of Kentucky, who's 7 feet, 19 years old, 250 pounds. That's a guy you can get. Chris Sinnock Jr., the power forward / center out of Houston, 6'11", 240 pounds. Ade Mara, another guy that you can get, 7'3", 255 pounds. He's out of Michigan. So you're looking at those bigs, and that's what you have to weigh it in. So listen, I'm fine. I think there are some talented bigs that can go in that draft, but it really comes down to, do you trust AK to get that right guy, or does AK even trust himself, or does he want to go after a more proven commodity to at least know? The Bulls are going to have their own first-round pick, so they can take the upside pick there, but get something that you kind of know what you want, with the Portland pick. That's just my mindset. Like I said, I'm fine either way, right? I like Eve Missi, but I'm not at the point where I'm like, you got to get Eve Missi by any means necessary. I mean, and then you can wait. You can honestly not make a trade for Eve Missi now. Wait till maybe after the draft combine, trade for him in the offseason, when you kind of figure out where and get a feeling of where players are going to go in that draft. That's what they can do as well. So that's my thought process. Great voicemail as always, Todd. Let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Jeremy.
Hey, what's up, Haize? This is Jeremy down here in Oklahoma. Wanted to touch on a few things real quick. Love your shows lately. Just keep on doing what you do, brother. But besides that, like Missi, I think he'd be a great addition. I know he's not like a superstar caliber, but like you pointed out. I just think the fit would be great. That's something more of a realistic option than what we've all, between Zion and everything else. I think Missi would just be a better fit overall and something more likely to happen. As far as Gafford, he just doesn't do much for me. I know everybody wants Gafford. I think it's kind of like one of those deals where, he was a Bull, so everybody has kind of like sentimental attachment to him for some reason. But I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he brings like zero to the offensive side of the ball for the most part. So it's like trading Vooch and getting the total opposite. I know he's more of a rim protector and better on defense, but you're swapping one problem for the other to me in the long run. I just don't think Gafford's the answer. But other than that, man, I love your shows. Tell me what you think. Peace out, man. Steve Red.
Missi is nice. He does bring a lot of what the Bulls need, but there are definitely still questions, right? Considering, the age and stuff like that. There's questions there. There's questions with everyone. I like Yves Missi. I do think it's a low cost. You're not paying a lot for him. You do have to give up maybe a first-round pick to get him, but you're not paying him a lot. The age fits the timeline. Daniel Gafford is nice. And I don't think it has anything to do with just people having an affinity for him because of nostalgia. I think that they just look at the player and the style that he plays. It actually fits with his, catching lobs from Josh Giddey. He's a big that runs. He's a solid ish rim protector, right? So I think you get that. You're not looking for him to replace Vooch's offensive production, though. Neither one of those guys. I think if you trade if you remove Nikola Vucevic from your starting lineup and replace him with a more defensive-minded center, you're looking at the defense, and then you're looking at players like Modest Buzelis to take a step offensively, to take more shots offensively. Maybe you're putting more on Ayo Dosunmu, something like that. You're looking at the other players to take a step. Maybe you give more shots to Jaylen Smith because now you have a defensive big next to him and you start him at your 4. So that's kind of what you're looking at if you do that. It's not about replacing the offensive Nikola Vucevic. It is about getting somebody that brings in that other side that Vooch is missing because you have younger players that may be willing to take that higher offensive load. That's what you're looking for in that one, Jeremy. And that's at least the way that I view it, right? But all right, let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from Vaughn.
Hey, what's good, my guy Haize? This is Vaughn from Indianapolis, man. Just kind of New Year's resolution, dog. I just want to let you know you do a tremendous job. I don't know, man. Sometimes I get argumentative, man, and tripping. So I just kind of wanted to apologize. Really value your work. Obviously, I wouldn't take the time to leave these long-ass messages if I didn't follow you all the time. I think your knowledge is excellent. I love your analytics. I love the episode the other day, which is what I'm calling about. Maybe yesterday, about the top free agent or possible free agent options for the Bulls. Like I said, I thought it was super practical. Had me looking up guys like the Peyton kid from Denver. And, of course, I've been on grinds for a while when I thought we might lose Giddey. But just great options, man. Landale, keep up the good work, man. Thanks for even taking the time to respond to me. I get caught up, man, in the 90s. Like, I'm 51. It was the one good decade we had, and standards were just it was ring or bust, and I know it's not like that now. I know, we stumbled on the greatest ever, and it's just a different day, man. I'm just hoping one day that the Reinsdorf just get a kick in the ass, or the young dude takes over and he gives a damn again, man. And it's more than just about 42 wins, playing games. And again, I'm gonna maintain, got to be better, more than just guys like Giddey and Modest being our best players. On good teams, those dudes are 3 and 4 on the totem pole. And again, that's just where I'm gonna go. That's the only thing I'm gonna say, contrary to our opinions. But I do think they still, if we look across the league, on any truly contending team, they're 3, 4, 4, 5 on the pecking order. At least in their current state. I know that they can evolve and get better. But anyway, man, thanks for the work. Appreciate it, and I'll holler at you later. Peace.
Bro, you're good, man. Like, listen, I'm all for debating. I never felt like you were coming at me. I felt like we were having a basketball conversation that brothers have. Like, that's what it comes down to. So never hesitate to push back when you view something differently than me. We all have counterpoints. I love to, but when they're well thought out. The only time that I roast people is when they have dumbass counterpoints that aren't well thought out. Now, I do think that there are some in your thing where you keep saying things like you just default to the same. Well, they're third or fourth best. I don't think Josh Giddey, with averaging a double-double, if he's actually able to play point guard, is third or fourth best. He hasn't shown an ability to be number one yet, and Modest is way too young to be talking about what Modest is yet. I just think that you revolve so much of your talking points around that one, and you don't have anything else to offer, and that talking point is probably null and void at this point. Like, you have to have something else just to say, I get it, we all grew up in the 90s. I'm almost 40 years old. I saw the Chicago Bulls. We all would love to have the team that we have. It can hold to those expectations, but you can't let that blind you from being able to honestly review the team, look at where we are. Everything can't be compared to Michael Jordan. Every player can't be compared to that. Even the great ones can't be, other great players can't be compared to that and Scottie Pippen. But I think you got to look at really what this team is, where they are, and really look at these players, right? And you have to have more points than just, oh, well, they're third. Like, you just repeat the same thing. Give me something else, right? And that's no offense to you or anybody else. I don't play some of Reginald's voicemails because it's just repeating the same thing over and over again. Give me something else. Every time you see or hear something with a team, you get triggered, you're like, the third or fourth. Like, I've heard it before. If you want to call in every single week, I love to hear from you, but offer something different than to repeat it the same things, right? Give me something different, because at some point, I just don't have to respond. I don't have anything else to respond to it. So then I won't play your voicemails, not because you have a different point than me, but because it's like, at some point, you got to give me something different because we've had this conversation before, right? But it's never anything negative. It ain't nothing to apologize about. I thank you for supporting the channel as much as you do, and even thinking of it in the way that you want to talk basketball with me. I appreciate that. All right, let's get into this last voicemail, man. This one's from Corn.
What's the good word, King Drip? It's your brother Corn, man. Let's get right into this shit, man. Hey, our Bulls just won. We just blew the fuck out of a hot team in L.A. We beat a team from the West Coast, right, y'all? So let me speak on it, man. And first of all, I want to give an apology to Jaylen Smith, because I haven't spoke on Jaylen Smith all fucking year. So I'm going to speak on him right now. He's been having one hell of a season. He has proven himself to me, and of course he has sometimes some Dumbo plays, right? I get it. But the good always overwhelms the bad when it comes to Jaylen. And Jaylen, I'm going to say something controversial, but I want y'all to follow me with this, because we love this guy who wants us to name, who wants us to compare Jaylen Smith to. Jaylen Smith is or this era, potentially Taj Gibson. I want y'all to think about it. Taj was the everyman. Taj can shoot. Taj can go inside and bang bodies. Taj can dunk. Taj can play defense, make blocks. But we never looked at Taj like Jim said. He deserved to start. But when the full team healthy, he might not be that, even though he deserved it. So, how I'm looking at Jaylen Smith right now, he is developing into this this Bulls team of Taj Gibson. I know that's probably gonna make people motherfucking panties all tied up, all that shit, because I love Taj too. And, you know, we always get kind of irritated when we make those type of comparisons to a Bull player of now, but that's what I see, that's what I said, and that's what I'm going to stand on. So, hey, Jaylen Smith, keep on doing what the fuck you doing. Hey, man, I'm happy that we got the dub. Love you, Drip. You already know what it is. See red.
Jaylen Smith and Taj Gibson comps. I mean, I don't like comps because I think Jaylen is a completely different player than Taj Gibson. But if you're talking about that type of impact, maybe. I mean, he's 25 years old. Taj was, 24? 2-ish when we drafted him, right? He was an older rookie. But listen, Jaylen is still kind of thriving and learning his role here in Chicago. And he does impact both sides of the ball. And it's great to see Jaylen Smith really have this level of season this year over what he did last season. It's great to see that. So, those are things that you want to see. And, Jaylen is having an impact for this team. I love the minutes with him and Modest Buzelis. I would love to see some minutes when Zach Collins gets back of Modest at the 3, Jaylen at the 4, Collins at the 5. I think that would be a nice mix kind of there at that those big rotations and forward. So I like that. And I think that's where the Bulls need to go. But I like Jaylen Smith on this team. I've come to like him even more as this season has gone on because he's making an impact for this team. And let's see where it continues to get us. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Y'all make sure y'all supporting us on Derrick Rose tonight. But I want to hear from you guys with this one. We are basically a little over 2 weeks away from the trade deadline. Are we buying? Are we selling? Are we convincing ourselves again that we are closer than what we are, which is what AK does? Drop your thoughts on everything down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow us at Bull Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, and that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, stay safe, go Bulls, and always see you ready if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.